Right? Yeah. Okay, we're going to start completely over. No, we're not. A couple of things. First of all, Dr. Ellis threw a lot of facts and figures out, and you'll be around to go over them again. There will be a quiz to get out of here today, so hopefully you'll all pass. But in all seriousness, I want you to take a look at Dr. Olaf. He's not a criminal, but our laws treat him as such right now. Our laws treat family members who want to break the law to find marijuana for their moms or their dads or sons or daughters. That happens just about every day here in the state of Wisconsin. They're not criminals and they shouldn't be treated that way. So that's why this referendum, at the very least, getting this on the ballot is such an important thing, not to mention the bill that Chris is going to talk about here in a minute. Our next speaker is a veteran. He has a good story to tell. A lot of us think about that this just deals people with cancer or whatever the case may be. A lot of veterans across this state and across this country use marijuana for medical purposes and medical purposes only. And Steve Acheson is here to tell us about it. Steve?
I'd like to start by just expressing my sincere gratitude and appreciation for everyone who came here today, in particular the numerous veterans who have traveled here from around the state. My name is Steve Acheson. I'm an Iraq War veteran. I served on active duty in the Army as a forward observer from 2004 to the end of 2008 and deployed to Sadr City, Iraq in 2005. I'm here today to show my support for the statewide advisory referendum on legalizing medicinal marijuana and the Compassionate Cannabis Care Act, and to serve as a united voice for what I know to be thousands of other veterans across Wisconsin who are already using medicinal cannabis to treat their service-connected injuries. I'd like to take a minute to tell you my story. When I was deployed, I was involved in over 400 missions as lead driver of a combat escort team for our brigade commander and drove nearly 18,000 miles through some of the most heavily bombed routes in and around the greater Baghdad area. I was witness to many horrific scenes and aftermaths of suicide bombings, ID attacks, explosions, and even human stampedes. Combine those experiences with a constant state of alertness required to be lead driver of my team's convoy, and I developed and was diagnosed with moderate to severe PTSD after returning home. To this day, I still experience daily bouts of debilitating anxiety, hypervigilance, frequent nightmares, depression, lack of sleep, disassociation, and even suicidal ideation as a result of my deployment and military experience. In addition to battling PTSD, an invisible wound of war, I'm also struggling with a multitude of physical disabilities connected to my service. While on a mission, we blew out a tire on our Humvee. As I was attempting to remove the spare tire from its mount on the hatchback of our truck, it broke loose and came crashing down on top of me, essentially crushing my L5-S1 vertebrae. Although I was able to complete the remainder of my deployment, I did so in excruciating pain. After returning home, I underwent the first of what would be 3 back surgeries, spanning the better part of a decade. My most recent surgery was this past June, when 90% of the remaining disc material herniated, causing a condition called cauda equina, essentially a stroke of the nerves that emanate from that vertebrae. Now, I no longer have feeling in my right leg and groin. I have experienced the loss of certain reproductive functions, sensations related to bowel and bladder movements, and other negative and lasting side effects. If you excuse me for just 1 minute. This represents the amount of pills that I was prescribed by the VA in a course of about 3 weeks. Okay? Most of these are still full. There's some other veterans out here in this press conference that brought their pills with them as well. They range from opiates to muscle relaxers to anti-inflammatory, stomach medication, stool softeners, you name it. Since my initial surgery in 2007, I've been prescribed literally thousands of pills by the Army, VA, and private doctors. Painkillers, muscle relaxers, anti-anxiety, depression medication, sleeping pills, stomach medication, anti-inflammatories, and more. After each subsequent surgery, I could feel my body's reaction to the medication and the unquenchable thirst for more pills. However, the pain, anxiety, sleeplessness, and depression still remain despite being heavily medicated. After getting out of the Army with an honorable discharge at the end of 2008, I immediately attempted to use my GI Bill to go to college. At this point in time, I was taking up to 7 different medications daily. I would equate my existence to something resembling a zombie. Pills to try to go to sleep, pills to try to numb the pain, pills to try to relax, pills to eat, pills to try to shit because the other pills made me constipated. It was nearly impossible to eat anything because my stomach was constantly in knots trying to process all the medications. Couple that with symptoms of PTSD in a new environment with new people and students, none of whom had any idea of the experiences I had gone through while deployed as a 19-year-old. It was nearly impossible to function as a non-traditional student with the rigors of a pre-engineering program. I was considering dropping out of college just after the first couple weeks because the thought of trying to continue in that state of existence just seemed to be too much to overcome. Right about the time I was ready to give up hope, a classmate of mine invited me to join her after class to partake in smoking some cannabis. Initially, the good soldier in me was hesitant to participate, but I figured what else do I have to lose? I'm already at the end of my rope. Realizing the positive effects of cannabis and the potential to get my life back on track, I continued self-medicating. Slowly, I was able to replace every single medication I had been taking with one natural, safe, and most importantly, effective alternative to the plethora of pills. School became much less of a chore. The hallways didn't seem to close in on me as tightly as they once did. In the classroom, I was able to focus on the lecture instead of worrying about whether the kids sitting behind me were about to launch some surprise attack. At home, I was able to get back to eating regularly. My mood had drastically improved, and my sleep habits returned to somewhat of a normalcy. I went on to found the first student veterans organization on campus, and it quickly grew to the largest student organization in its first semester. My confidence continued to build, and I began to work as a math tutor, a student ambassador, a representative in our student government. In 2011, I was named Student of the Year at UW-Fox Valley and earned my associate's degree while making the dean's list in every semester. I went on to transfer to UW-Platteville, and in 2013 graduated with honors with a bachelor's degree in civil structural engineering. None of this would have been possible had it not been for medicinal cannabis. After graduation, my partner Steph and I started Peacefully Organic Produce, Wisconsin's first veteran-led community-supported agriculture farm right outside Madison and Wanakee. Through our farm, we were able to establish a USDA-funded training program specifically for veterans returning back to civilian life, many of whom were dealing with PTSD, TBI, military sexual trauma, and other visible and invisible wounds of war. Like me, many of them also happened to find medicinal cannabis to be the most effective medication available to treat their symptoms. Medicinal cannabis allowed me to reach my full potential, to cope with PTSD and the ongoing pain associated with 3 back surgeries. Had I continued using this concoction of painkillers, muscle relaxers, and other harmful prescriptions, I'm sure I would have become one of the 20 veterans a day who lose hope and commit suicide. This is not to say that I'm not still struggling. This past year in particular has been extremely difficult. The negative side effects from our last surgery have caused me to make a decision to discontinue our farming operations for the foreseeable future, as I can no longer handle the physical, I can no longer physically perform the daily chores required to have a successful farm. However, this past year, I, along with 4 other veterans, have co-founded High Ground Veterans Advocacy, a nonprofit that is based in DC dedicated to addressing the specific needs of the post-9/11 generation of veterans. I've also found a home with the Wisconsin Farmers Union, advocating on behalf of rural communities and farmers alike. 2 weekends ago, the Wisconsin Farmers Union held their annual state convention in the Wisconsin Dells. I'm very excited to announce that the delegation representing chapters from around the state have voted to adopt a new policy supporting both the legalization and production of industrial hemp, as well as the legalization of medicinal marijuana. Helping to curb rural opiate addiction was one of the main reasons why the Wisconsin Farmers Union voted to support the legalization of medicinal marijuana, a non-addictive and relatively safe alternative when compared to opiates. Additionally, this past September at their annual national convention, the American Legion has passed a resolution calling to, quote, amend the legislation to remove marijuana from Schedule 1 and reclassify it in a category that, at a minimum, will recognize cannabis as a drug with potential medical value. So what we have is one of the largest congressionally chartered veteran organizations in the country, recognizing that medicinal marijuana has the potential to treat service-connected injuries such as PTSD and traumatic brain injuries. There are a lot of citizens in this state who are struggling. Many of them are veterans. We are not criminals. We no longer want to live in the shadows of society in a constant state of fear from repercussion. Those who have put their lives on the line for this state and country deserve the right to have access to safe, non-addictive, and most importantly, effective medication to treat their service-connected injuries. To those veterans in the audience and out there listening to this press conference, we need you to join this fight. Believe me when I say that you are not alone. Thank you for your time.